You don't lose, you learn, right? Hi guys, welcome back to Refining Beauty with me, Yaunee Michelle, a place where faith meets beauty so that you can glow and grow from the inside out. So today I just want to share 5 quick things that we can all learn from the beautiful, the lovely Yvonne Orji. Not too long ago, I read her book, Bamboozled by Jesus, and I didn't have any expectations, but I was just like, it's an interesting title. I've grown to love Yvonne, and so let me check it out. But what I can say about the book overall is that it gives you that extra push to go after your dreams, to go after whatever God has placed in your heart. If you feel a little inkling that maybe you need to pursue modeling or pursue writing the book or pursue starting the business, reading her book will give you that extra push. It'll give you'll be inspired by the stories that she shared, and just understanding that really, when we're going after our dreams, it's a journey, right? It's a journey. And so she shares her journey and just words of wisdom of what got her to where she is today. And so I personally love the book. So let's go into some of the points that I've personally learned from Yvonne's book, and I think that it'll also be beneficial for you as well. So the first quote that stuck out to me from her book was a statement that she said, and I was like, never thought of it that way. And the statement was this: it says, "I don't win, but I always win." And basically what she's saying is that, as she's gone throughout her acting career, there's been some situations where she didn't get the role, she didn't get the job, but in the end, she got something better. And so I'm reminded of the scriptures in Romans 8:28 that says that God works things together for our good. And sometimes closed doors are just redirections that, that's not for you. And that really God has something better in the end. And so that's what I can get out of that quote. So once again, the quote is, "I don't always win, but I win." And I'm sorry, y'all. The quote says, "I may not win, but I always win." And then I'm also just reminded too, like, when God's on your side, you can't lose. You can't lose. And I love this quote too that says, and it's not from Yvonne's book, but it says, "I don't lose." It says, "I either win or I learn." And then again, sometimes closed doors are just redirections. Closed doors mean there's something better. Closed doors mean something that is greater. So if you're just stuck in disappointment right now with a job that you feel like is not for you, or if you didn't get the job that you want, just believe that there's something better than where you are now. So the second quote, which is number 2 from Yvonne's book, it says that Bentleys never go on sale. And what she meant by this, and it's so important, especially for Black women, women of color, is just knowing your worth. Can I say that again? Knowing your worth. And I've said this too on a piece that I wrote. And the important thing that you just need to know, when you know your worth, you don't settle for anything. And Yvonne depicted this in her book, Bamboozled by Jesus, where she had to say no to some pretty, in our eyes, in my eyes, some pretty lucrative deals, but she knew that she deserved better. Yvonne knew that she was worthy of better. She knew that she was worthy of God's best. She even gave the example about the house that she wanted, and she liked the house, and that it just, she put in and she didn't get it. But then in the end, she got the house that was truly for her. Like, she didn't settle. She didn't settle in her career. She didn't settle with the things that she wanted. She didn't settle on the first offer. Ladies, you do not have to settle on the first offer. Know your worth, know your value. Think about the time, the money, the effort that you've put into your business. Think about the time and effort that you've put into yourself, building yourself, getting an education. Like, you have to keep that in mind when those offers are set on the table. Never accept, and I've received this tip before, never accept the first offer. Another tip that I've gotten from my mom personally is that anything is negotiable. And so that's what I have to remind myself of. And that's what I'm reminded of too when Yvonne conveyed the quote that Bentleys never go on sale. And just know that you are the prize, you are worthy, you are valued. And so you have to let others know that you are worthy, that you are valuable, and you're not going to settle for what they offer you. Which brings me to quote number 3, and it says, oh, this is a good one. It says, pressure busts pipes, but also makes diamonds. And so I love how she talked about, after making this statement, I like that she talked about the 3 Hebrew boys and how they were thrown into the fiery furnace, but they never got burned. They never got burned because God was with them. Jesus showed up in the fire. And so I'm just reminded that sometimes the fire is just meant to, not to consume us. It's meant to refine us. It's meant to purify. It's meant to just shed away bad attitudes, toxic thinking, bad relationships, toxic work environments. And so sometimes God brings us through the fire so that we can see things from his perspective. And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't always feel good. I've been there before. I'm in it in certain ways now, but you know, I'm just reminded that sometimes we have to see things from his perspective. And the only way, unfortunately, that we can see things from a different perspective is when we're in the fire. But guess what? On the other side, we are diamonds. And so actually, because I wrote on a piece about diamonds, believe it or not, there are 5 unique phases that diamonds have to go through. And one of those phases that I'm reminded of, it's called the crushing phase, where they crush the ore around the diamond to get to the most valuable piece. And doesn't crushing sound painful? It sounds painful, but on the other side of the crushing is the purification, is the refinement. And guess what? On the other side is a beautiful diamond. And as we all know, diamonds can be worth millions and millions of dollars. And what I'm reminded of is like the bigger the diamond, the harder the crushing, right? The bigger the diamond, the more refinement that it needs, the more fire that it needs. And so just keep that in mind. Once again, that quote says, pressure busts pipes, but it also makes diamonds. So the 4th point that I want to share with you from Yvonne's book, Bamboozled by Jesus, is this one. She said, when you allow God to develop your character, he'll develop your career. And so she just gave the example that, you know, she started her career in her 30s. And so, of course, in our mind, we're like, that's old. Like, she's, you know, she needs to go through a process. But she was just saying how God developed her. And I'm sure, like, during those hard moments in her life, you know, that was a period where God developed her character. And guess what? When she was ready, God elevated her. She didn't have to go through that entire process. She didn't have to start out as a child actress to get to where she is now. God worked on her behind the scenes, and when she was ready, he elevated her. And I believe that he elevated her Godspeed. Like, she didn't have to wait too long to get it when it's her time. And so it just reminded me that, you know, sometimes we just have to trust God's timing. His timing is perfect, and oftentimes it's not when we want him to move, and it's painful sometimes. But what I'm reminded of, and I think it was T.D. Jakes who said this, it's like giving a 13-year-old or a 12-year-old a car. They're not ready. And maybe I wouldn't say 13, because I'm not gonna lie, I started driving around 13, 14, especially if you live in the country. But we'll just say 6. I have a 6-year-old. I will definitely not let my 6-year-old drive a car. She's not ready. She's not mature. She's not tall enough. Her legs are not long enough. And so I just believe that's just how God is with us. You know, he gives it to us when we're ready. And when we're ready, guess what? It's a blessing. It's a blessing. And so, just keep that in mind along your journey, wherever you are, whatever you're becoming, whatever you're pursuing, whatever your purpose may be. Just know that God's timing is perfect. And just know that not only his timing is perfect, but also during that time, he's developing character. And guess what? How can I say this? He's only going to give it to you when you're ready. So if you resist that character building, there's some things that you may not ever see. And that's a hard truth. It's a hard truth. There's some things that you and I may not see if our character, if our heart is not in the right place to receive. Because guess what? At the end of the day, I'm just reminded that everything that we do, at least for me, being a believer and a person of faith, that it's about him. Everything we do is about him. So, for example, for Yvonne, she can't go to certain arenas and then be a nasty Christian. Like, it just pushes people away from Christ, right? Needless to say, we got attitude sometimes. I have attitude sometimes. Some days I don't like people. I don't want to be around people. And so I have to surrender some of those areas to him so that I can always be a good representation of him and bring people to the kingdom, to bring honor to him and to represent him well, right? We got to represent him well, and not only him, but represent our family, represent ourselves. And I'm just reminded of the scripture that a good name carries you further than money. So your name precedes you. And so when they hear that, I'm just going to throw out a name, when they hear that Sasha's coming for an acting gig, if they've heard that she has a nasty attitude, she doesn't treat people well, guess what? More than likely, Sasha can come and apply for the gig, but she's not going to get the role. And, I've actually heard that for several actors and actresses, that they're very difficult to work with. And a lot of times, some of these actors and actresses get blacklisted because of just their character, right? Because of their character, you don't see them anymore. They just fall off the face of the earth. But again, when we're believers and we allow God to develop our character, it'll take us so much further than what money can do. And so my last and final point and tip that I've gotten from Yvonne Orji's book, Bamboozled by Jesus, is this. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, she says this. It says, risk is better than regret. And it's so good. Risk is better than regret, right? And that's something for me that when I read the book, I had to ponder, because how many of us don't move forward because we're afraid of failing? We're afraid of what people may say. We're afraid of things not working out. I know for me, my fear is because I'm a dedicated person, I don't want to put so much energy into something and it not work out. Because I have a family and because I have other things going on, I value my time. And so sometimes I'm like, is this going to be a waste of my time? I don't know. But the worst regret, right, is still pondering, would it have worked out if I would have put in the time? And so, like Nike, just do it. You never know, it could work out. And again, I think it goes back to the statement that I made earlier in the video, is you don't lose, you learn, right? And so either you pivot or you improvise. And so as a project manager, I'm reminded of this statement: you plan, you do, you check, and then you act. And so if you follow those 4 simple steps, it just teaches you how to pivot. It teaches you how to improvise. But the important thing is just to do, because, in the end, you don't want to regret not going after your dreams. You don't want to regret not pursuing the purpose that you have in your life because of the naysayers, because you were let down, because it didn't work out the first time. So I just want to challenge you, do it again. Do it again, especially if deep down in your heart you feel like this is what you're supposed to do. This is who you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be writing the book. You're supposed to be pursuing the acting career. You're supposed to be starting a nonprofit. do it anyway. And I believe that as you move forward in the doing, God will give you guidance on the next steps to do. He'll give you guidance and insight, and he'll send the right people. But I think it goes back to the earlier statement that we just have to trust his timing. Maybe it wasn't the right time, that it didn't work out the first time. Maybe there were some things that you needed to learn so that you could start over again and you won't make those mistakes. And so, just in the words of Yvonne Orji, risk is better than regret. And so I hope these tips helped you. I know it truly helped me, because every now and again I actually read the book and then I wrote down things that stood out. And I go back and I read them and I look at them and I'm reminded, like, you know what, God, if you did it for Yvonne, surely you could do it for me. And I believe that's also kind of the outline of the book too, is like, you know, hey guys, if God did it for me, if he did it for me, then he could do it for you. And so he's not a respecter of persons. I believe that if you trust in him and believe in him, and also just believe in yourself, because he's with us, that you're not going to fail, then the doors will open, the opportunities will come. Again, not sometimes in our timing, but in his perfect timing. And so if you read the book, let me know what you think. Let me know if there's some other quotes that stood out to you. Otherwise, I will see you soon. Peace. Bye.